Hello, Commanders, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous Return from Beagle Point. Today's topic of discussion will be, trying to be your authentic self. I know that sounds kind of lame and trite, but we'll get into the details of it here in just a minute. As I always do, before we hop into our topic of the day, I would like to welcome those of you who are just joining the journey. The purpose of this trip has been to work on our exobiology, as well as to work on our exobiology to get to the point where we are in the elite rank status, as well as hopefully make enough money to purchase a fleet carrier and then go out into the black and do exploration that way, and whatever other things we decide to do. We went out to Beagle Point. We're currently on our way back out to the bubble, and hopefully by the time we get back there, we'll have enough money to realize our ambitions. As we typically would do, we have a cycle of operations, but unfortunately we're not going to go over that right now because we have another planet that we're going to go to. We finished off in this last episode on a 4 biology planet, I believe, and got a fair bit of stuff out of that. We're going to head over to this planet or this moon over here that has 3 biological sources on it, go find out what they are, and make a little bit more money. So as I said, the topic of discussion for today is being authentic, or being your authentic self, or whatever it is, however you want to look at it when it comes to just being the real you. Now, as somebody who is trying to carve out a small space for myself on YouTube, I think I don't want to say it's hard for me to do. It's actually very easy for me to do. But I think one of the hardest things for most people to do is to avoid the temptation to morph yourself into something that appeases large groups of people. And the reason I bring that up is that, you are trying to put something out there that is entertaining for people. And one of the pitfalls that you're going to run into trying to do that is trying to change yourself to meet the expectations of your audience. And the unfortunate thing about that is that the more you move away from who you are, the harder it's going to be to I don't want to say the harder it's going to be to grow and make money. It's actually easier to grow and make money. It seems like it's easier to grow and, get where you're trying to go the faker you are. But it's much harder on you to do things that way. And what I mean by that is that the more you move away from the kind of person that you are, the more you try to change yourself to become what it is that you think that the people around you or the people that are watching you expect you to be, the more work it is to do whatever it is that you're doing. And the reason I bring that up is that, there's that saying that's, if you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. And I truly believe that that's a real thing. There's a difference between work and effort. If you're doing something that you're really interested in, the amount of effort that you're putting into things doesn't really matter to you quite as much, because you actually are having fun, or you're doing something that is just really providing you with a sense of fulfillment. We got some stratum and tussock. Hopefully it's going to be the stratum tectonicus. We're going to switch to combat mode so I can see the sun, see the lit up side of the planet, because I always try to land on the lit up side. So once we're absolutely clear that we're on the lit up side, and I'll switch back to the analysis mode so we can see the heat map and find a really good place to land and find the biology that we're looking for. Okay, so pretty much everything over here. So I'm gonna aim for this and then try to get down to the planet. I'm having to be. Oh, why are we so fast? Okay. Yeah, I've complained about this. I've complained about this many times, but I really wish that they would revamp the descent mechanics for this so it's not so fiddly. I should just be able to full throttle all the way in, and the flight control computer adjusts it for me. So to get maximum efficiency down to the planet. But the developers for this game seem to love mini games. They love adding these little manual things that you have to do to do basic simple tasks that a ship really should be able to do by itself. So anyways, I was talking about the idea of, you don't work a day in your life if you're doing what you love. I think, in my experience, there is a massive difference in how you feel putting effort into things that are important to you versus doing things that you just have to do because you have to do it. Whether it's because you have to have a job to make money, or if it's because you have to do it because somebody in your life is important to you and you feel obligated to do whatever it is that they're asking you to do. I think we all understand the idea that there is a massive difference in how much putting effort into something takes it out of you when you're doing something for somebody else versus when you're doing something that you're genuinely interested in. So, you know, if you can find a career that allows you to do something that you're genuinely interested in, then it's not going to feel like work. Yeah, you're doing work. Yeah, you're putting the same amount of effort in to whatever it is that you're doing as you would if you were doing some other job to make money. But because you actually enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't feel like such a slog, and you don't feel as worn out when you're done doing it. So the purpose of me bringing this up in general is just, I've noticed that my metrics for my channel have pretty much stopped growing, and it's super frustrating to me, and the natural instinct for me is to want to try to figure out ways to make changes to my channel to try to, you know, compensate for whatever it is that has caused me to fall off from the path that I was on. It's always super frustrating to get to a point where you don't feel like you're moving towards your goals anymore. And, you know, more than once in the last couple of weeks or few weeks, I felt like, you know, maybe YouTube just isn't the thing for me. Maybe I just need to be done with it. If it's not going to continue going in the direction I want it to go, then, you know, there's no point in continuing it. It's just a big waste of time, and I need to find something that's actually going to, you know, take me in the direction I want to go. But at the same time, it's like, there's another part of me that's like, well, you just need to figure out what the problem is. What's the thing that's caused? What do you need to change in your channel to get people to start watching again? Get more people to start watching. And the more I think about it, the more it's like, well, you know, I think that what's going to end up happening is that I'm going to start changing these things, and then I'm not going to enjoy my format anymore, and it's going to go from, you know, me just getting on and playing games, which is the part that I enjoy, to turning it into a sloggy, worky, I don't want to do this anymore kind of thing. So I am laboring towards a point here. If you watch any of my videos, you know it takes me a while to get to it, because there's always a lot of preamble. I know most viewers, and this is another thing, like, I refuse to change it because this is how I like to do things. I have a let me see what I said. One of the gifts that I have is that I have the ability to explain complex topics, complex concepts, and things like that in a way that is accessible to people. So, you know, I probably should have been a teacher because I enjoyed doing that, but things just didn't work out that way. And to be perfectly honest, especially here in the United States, unless you just have a serious passion for dealing with students and people and all that stuff, it's not worth it. You can't make any decent money at that unless you get up into like the super high echelons of the academic thing. So that's just not something I'm interested in. But anyways, the point is that you know, all of my topics have a lot of preamble because I like to explain things from multiple different angles, and also just make sure that you know, the reason why I think the way that I do. When you understand why somebody thinks the way that they do, a lot of times it's easier to understand where they're coming from, and also to be okay with their point of view. So that's why. Anyways, what I'm trying to get to here is that you're going to be happiest in your life when you're able to be you, when you're able to be the you that you want to be. And whenever you start contorting yourself into doing things in the way that everyone else expects you to do them, that's when it starts moving away from, you know, enjoying what you're doing into becoming the slog that everybody hates, the daily grind that everybody hates. Oh, there was one there. That's really annoying that didn't show up. I remembered seeing a bacteria over there, but then when I was on the ground, I didn't see it. Oh, because the terrain was hiding it. All right, so let's run over here and grab this one. We'll grab the other 2. And then there is another planet that has 2 biology on it, so we'll head over and grab that one since we're here anyway. And it's not an ice planet, which means it has a good chance of being some kind of Tectonicus. I don't even remember what the Tectonicus was over there. I wasn't paying attention. I would imagine it's the same kind of Tectonicus that was on the other planet, though, because as I've said in the past, this game goes with the panspermia approach to biology. So, for the most part, the biology tends to be the same on all the surrounding planets. And I do get distracted by the game, so, you know, it takes... I've had people complain to me... This is me doubling down on my point here. I've had people complain to me that... they had to sit and listen for 25 minutes for me to talk about a subject, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's the format. That's the way I like to do things. I like to have a topic. I like to babble on about it until I feel like I've covered it to the point that I don't have anything more to say about it, and then we end the episode. That's the format here. I don't understand why people just don't hit the back button. If you're not enjoying the content, hit the back button, go find something else. You don't need to make a comment. And I said that out of more just responding to that idea, but I guess it actually kind of links in with this topic of, you know, I think it would be awesome if people in general would just stop trying to impose their personal preferences onto the online space and just, you know, if you don't like it, move on. You don't need to voice your opinion on somebody's format. The only time you should really be opening your mouth to say anything to anybody about their content is if they're saying something that is just, you know, beyond the pale, something that's like extremely and intentionally offensive or, you know, racist or whatever. You know, those kinds of things where, you know, we should definitely be trying to shame and discourage those behaviors. Yeah, you know, leave a comment down for that, but trying to get somebody to change their format because you don't like it is like that's kind of narcissistic and ridiculous. But you know, the internet is what the internet is, and that's not going to change because there's no reason for it to change. People have anonymity and they can behave how they want behind their faceless online persona, and there's nothing we can do about it. So I say these things not expecting them to change. It's more just we have an ideal world that we could be living in if people would just stop being assholes to each other, but we can't seem to figure that out. Anyways, I know I've strayed way off the point. What I'm trying to get to here is that you know, there's several things in running my channel where I could be doing things differently, but then I wouldn't enjoy making content quite as much. And one of those, and I had a specific example. It's taken me 13 minutes to get to it, but I've been playing this game called Path of Exile, and if you know anything about action RPGs, you're probably fully aware of that game. Over the years, I've been more into Diablo. Diablo 3 is probably my favorite action RPG, which I know is probably going to annoy some people because a lot of people consider that game to be garbage. And, you know, I guess I can kind of understand that. But I am one of those casual players who enjoys casual games like Diablo 3, and that's what I really want to be doing. But I've been playing, so one of my viewers recommended Path of Exile to me, so I decided, hey, you know, I'll give it a try. And that game is quite a bit more involved and difficult than pretty much any of the Diablo games that I've played. I played Diablo 1 and then Diablo 3. I'm old enough that I was around when Diablo 1 came out. And I never finished Diablo 1 because, you know, it's a very long and involved slog of fighting your way through a bunch of different levels. But when Diablo 3 came out, I was really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed the story of it, and I really enjoyed playing it and the different classes and all that stuff, and it was just a lot of fun for me. I'm one of those people that, you know, for whom the Diablo franchise, I am the target audience. I don't have a lot of interest in in-game content. I don't have a lot of interest in difficult content. I just, you know, I'm looking for something to do. I'm looking for something to occupy my time. I'm looking for something to escape from the real world for a little while and have fun. And it's not fun for me when I'm having to, you know, overcome obstacles. Like, there's enough obstacles in life for me to have to overcome without adding them in my spare free off time. So, you know, the Path of Exile game is extremely involved compared to Diablo 3 or any of that kind of stuff. They have this massive skill tree that you have to mess with. They have this massive inventory item system that you have to mess with, and it's really, really complicated. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, I think those kinds of games should exist for those people who want to enjoy it. But the problem is that when you get into those kinds of games, you get people who have this mentality of you need to play the game the way that they think you should have to play it, or you need to play the game in the way that they think is most optimal, because that kind of game is really I never did my Super Cruise assist. That kind of game is really catered towards a more hardcore kind of audience, and the unfortunate thing is that a hardcore player is going to be more competitive and demanding and have less compassion and understanding and sympathy for anything other than you need to do it the most optimal way. You need to do it the way that it is intended to be done. Suck it up, Buttercup. Do what you got to do. And, you know, that's fine if that's what you're into. Have at it. But me personally, I'm not. I don't like having that kind of an attitude about pretty much anything in life. I am a path of least resistance kind of person, and if you know anything about nature, you know that in general that's kind of the way that everything is. You know, predators are always looking for the easy pick. It's gonna be Tussock. Okay, that's fine though. We came all this way, so we might as well. You know, everything in nature is always looking for the path of least resistance, and you know, we as human beings seek out challenges and things like that because we have some kind of weird thing that makes us want to do things the hard way. I don't really understand it, but that is what it is. But you know, that drive that a lot of people have to seek out accomplishment and all of that, differentiate yourself from the crowd, you know, that's definitely something that's in nature, differentiating yourself from the crowd. But you know, a lot of human beings try to differentiate themselves by you know, trying to do things the hard way, and I'm like, no thanks. But anyways, the point I'm trying to get to is that while I am getting a lot of support from several of my viewers, a few of them are getting seem to be, at least, you know, it's hard to tell when you're reading text, but they seem to be getting very exasperated with me because they're providing me with advice, and either I don't understand their advice, or I haven't figured out what their advice means yet, or I'm just not willing to do whatever it is they're asking me to do because it's overly complicated and requires me to do insane, what I feel to be unreasonable amounts of reading to get things done. Now, don't get me wrong, I have no problem with reading. I've read many, many books over the course of my life. I'm not one of those people who's like, I refuse to read. But I'm not very good. I don't have a lot of patience for detail-oriented tasks. And unfortunately, one of the reasons why I've hated work over the years is I've had a lot of jobs where I've had a lot of detail-oriented tasks involved. You know, administrative work is very detail-oriented, and I've been unfortunate to be stuck in that kind of thing for a while. Fortunately, the last year or so, I haven't had to worry about it too much, but, you know, if the YouTube thing or some other kind of other thing doesn't work out, I will eventually have to. I know that this is here, but I see the tussock over here, so we're going to do the tussock first because those are easier to see. So I'd rather get the harder part out of the way, and then we'll go back and get the bacteria there. So anyways, Path of Exile is the difference. The Path of Exile is kind of is kind of a video game equivalent to the administrative jobs that I've always tried to avoid over the years, because I don't have a lot of patience for sitting down and miring myself in crazy amounts of detail. And that game has a lot of detail. which is good. It provides you with an extensive amount of customization and provides a way for people to play the game the way they want to play it rather than being, you know, forced into an archetype or whatever. But at the same time, it's like everything else in life. The more choice you have, the more responsibility you have, and the more time and effort you have to put into doing whatever it is that you're doing. And for me, I play video games to have fun, and crazy amounts of attention to detail just aren't fun for me. And so, you know, getting back to the point of the video, the point of the topic for this video, being your authentic self, you know, it wasn't even really a decision for me to just accept and understand, and also just honestly convey to my audience as I continue to play the game that, hey, you know, I have no intention of doing in-game content for this. I have no intention of spending crazy amounts of time reading gear stuff for this, and, you know, trying to find the optimal thing for this, and you know, because that's just not fun for me. And if I'm not having fun producing the content, then you know, nobody's going to have fun watching the content, because I'm not going to be having fun. I'm not going to have a good attitude about it. I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not going to be anywhere. I don't want to say as interesting, like, because I don't know that I'm that interesting to begin with. But I'm going to be even less interesting than I am if I'm just slogging my way through it because oh, this is the way it should be done. It's like, no, I'm not going to have fun with that. And unfortunately, we live in a world where you don't always get to do things the way you want to do them. But for something like this, where you're going to be a content creator and you're going to put yourself out there into the world, in my opinion, I feel like I'm going to have the best chance of long-term success, assuming that's even an option for me. I'm going to have the best chance of long-term success if I am producing things in a way that is sustainable for me. And, you know, you kind of have to approach life in that way. Like, we talk about hard work as if it's, you know, the holy grail of getting things done. And yeah, hard work is a component of, you know, finding success in your life. But, you know, a lot of it is just luck of the draw, if we're going to be totally honest. There's plenty of people out there that work their asses off and never make it past minimum wage. But then a lot of it is just, you know, finding a method that allows you to continue doing whatever work you're doing over the long haul, you know, because you can, if you're busting your ass all the time, but then you burn yourself out, you're not going to keep going. You know, you're eventually going to get to a point where either you can't stand what you're doing, or you die because you stress yourself out to the point where you have nothing left. You know, so you got to find a way. You got to find a way to do something with your life that you're able to do it in a way that's genuine, in a way that fits who you are, that allows you to enjoy what you're doing, so that it doesn't feel like a grind, and it just feels like, you know, something fulfilling and work, and you know, something that's fulfilling and meaningful and takes you in the direction that you want to go in your life. So, I don't know. I know it took me forever to get to a simple point, but if you watched any of my videos before, you know that I tend to like to expand on a subject until I've kind of made my point. And I also like to give examples, because I believe that examples are the best way to illustrate a point to people. If you can explain a complex topic much more easily and streamlined, and in a way that people can understand if you provide an example, because the example kind of gives them a visceral understanding of what it is that you're trying to get them to get to. So, you know, I provided a couple of examples of what I'm talking about so that you guys would know. But anyways, we finished exploring this entire system. We don't really have time to go ahead and hop off this planet and find another system to go to, so we're going to go ahead and be done. Hopefully you guys had lots of fun. Be sure to click the like button if you did, so that the YouTube algorithm will know and send the video out to as many people as possible. If you are not a subscriber, please consider doing so now, so that when the next video comes out, it will show up in your feed and you'll be able to watch it as soon as it becomes available. Channel members get early access to all of my content, so be sure to click the join button. Check out the list of options available there. and decide if any of those are right for you. If you would like to support the channel but are not interested in a recurring membership, you can always leave YouTube's version of a tip with that thanks button. Direct contributions are greatly appreciated and a critical component to helping to turn this channel into a full-time gig, which is the dream. So again, thank you very much for your time. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Be sure to come back for the next one, and I'll see you then.